Did you know that there is a country in the world where they like to eat eggs that still have little chickens inside them? It's true, and today we're going to tell you all about it. Hi! Just getting ready for the next year of using the bathroom.
Making sure we're prepared.
All right. Whew. Welcome to Around the World with Joshua.
And Alyssa.
We're so excited to have you join us today. If you're new to this show, and you should be because this is the first time we are doing it, we are going to spend a few minutes telling you about somewhere that we have been in the world. And then we're going to have Alyssa share a missionary story with you. And then we are going to end by telling you about somebody else in the world who we know and what they do. All right, so let's get started.
Let's see if you can guess which country we're going to talk about today. It's a country we both visited, and it's made up of a lot of islands. 7,641 to be exact.
Yes, and what I like about this country, one of the many things I like about this country, is that they love to celebrate Christmas. They start in September and go through January, sometimes February or March. And I love Christmas, so I would love to be there when they celebrate Christmas.
Any guesses what the country is? I'll give you one more hint. This country produces and exports the most coconut out of the entire world.
Wow.
Any guesses?
I know, but okay, I'll just tell you. It's the Philippines.
Yeah!
It's where my dad grew up. And so now we're going to show you some pictures and tell you about the food they eat.
It's tasty.
Yes. All right, so let's get started here. Okay, so this is just a platter full of
Tastiness.
Yes, a lot of different tasty foods. Alyssa, we don't have any pictures of adobo, but why don't you tell us what it is?
Adobo is one of the most classic dishes in the Philippines, and it's pretty simple to make. You could probably make it at home if you look up a recipe. And it's just a meat with a really tasty sauce served over lots of rice. I could eat it right now.
I could. I haven't had it for like 2 weeks. But let's get back and look at some other things. All right. In the Philippines, they eat lots of fish. You can see the fish in this picture, and you might be able to tell that it is not just pieces of fish.
No.
And it's not battered fish. It's just the whole fish.
Eyeballs included.
That's how you eat it. And you just take this and put it on your plate and use your fingers to pull the meat off the bones.
It's really good though. Definitely worth the extra effort.
Yes. Let's see what else. Okay, now this thing here with the green vegetables in it is called kari kari.
I could eat this for days.
Yes, and it is like a peanut butter sauce.
Which sounds weird, but it's actually really delicious.
Yes, it is. And then you can just eat it with all these vegetables. You can do other stuff with it. But this one dish here that we took a picture of, we could have just had that for the meal. It was so good. All right, here we have some fruits, and they have a lot of tropical fruits and fruits that may not be so tropical. But here we have one of my favorite fruits, mangoes.
If you go to the Philippines, you can have fresh mango. Like, just get off on the side of the road and buy it from somebody on the side of the road. It's so tasty when it's mango season. Obviously, you can't go buy it all year round like you would here in the States. You can't just go to the store and buy it. It probably won't be very good. But during the right season, you can get it anywhere and it's so delicious.
It is so much sweeter than the mangoes we have here. Now, once in a while, you can find a really good mango here. But there, it's pretty much, you just get a mango and it's going to be really good. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do. And you really can't understand the difference until you just try it. It's just so much better. There are also some other fruits there. They have pineapple, melons, watermelons.
Bananas.
Yes.
Bananas are so much better overseas than here in the U.S. Because they kind of ripen, well, they get them green and then they ripen here. There you get the real deal. All different kinds of bananas too, not just your normal shape. They're the small ones, even smaller, kind of orangey colored ones, all different kinds.
And I'm not really a fan of bananas in the first place, but when I go to the Philippines, I could just keep eating them and eating them and eating them. They're just so good. They also have strawberries. Actually, our pastor, Lauren Buckney, he went to the Philippines and he went to this huge strawberry farm. I didn't even know they had those there until he showed pictures, but I'm assuming they're good. We do have good strawberries here too. But they have a lot of the fruits we have. They're just a little better. So, back to the picture of the fruits. You can see they have cantaloupe up in the top right-hand corner, and some pineapple, and then the mangoes. And in a later picture, you'll see some watermelon as well. All right, at parties in the Philippines, they always have plenty of food for everyone. You can see in this picture, going out to eat with my relatives, and we just ordered so much food, which was okay with me. But you know, you don't run out of food at their parties. Sometimes they even have a whole pig to cook over a fire and serve to everyone. And they would probably have my favorite food at these parties, and that's the one that you see kind of right in the middle of the picture, a little up near the top. They look like egg rolls, and that's basically what they are. They call them lumpia, and they're usually filled with a lot of cabbage and other vegetables, but they also have some with meat. And they don't fry them as much as we do, I think, or they also use a different kind of paper. They use rice wrappers, whereas we would use flour ones. And so they fry up a little differently, and I like them a lot better. Alyssa, before we get to that picture.
Just kidding.
Alyssa's going to tell you a little bit about what it's like to buy food in the Philippines.
Food is a lot cheaper in the Philippines than it is in the U.S. Well, a lot of things are, just in general. A little less expensive over there. But they have some things kind of like what we're used to. They have a lot of restaurants like we have here in the States, like McDonald's and all of that. But they also have their own version. And one of the classic places to go and eat if you're in the Philippines would be Jollibee.
We actually have a picture of that we're going to show you in a moment too.
Yeah. And Jollibee does have a nice big bumblebee kind of thing outside the front of the store. And it's a fast food restaurant. And you can order things like rice with gravy and spaghetti and fried chicken, which sounds like an interesting combination, but it's pretty tasty. It's like their version of McDonald's. It's pretty good. Those Jollibees are everywhere.
All right, so let's get back to these pictures of the food. Oh, okay. Well, I was with a missionary and he took me to the pancake house. And I was thinking, I don't really want pancakes. I want some Filipino food. So here I had a rice, little patty of rice kind of with an egg on top and some fruit and then longaniza in the back. Now that is, I think that is originally from Brazil, but it's a tasty sausage and they really like it for breakfast. And
we do too.
Yes. They'll also chop it up. My dad will put it in rice, fried rice. And so that's what you see in that picture there. We also like, what's that bacon type stuff
Tocino?
called? Tocino. Oh, okay.
Also tasty.
My family loves tocino, and then she tried it, and she loves it. It's like bacon, but it's a little thicker. It's a little, they like have a sugary coating
Yeah, it's kind
on
of
it.
sweet.
Oh, but it's just
really
so good. I can't even describe. Bacon is the
No.
best I can come to, but it's not quite the same thing. But it's good with rice, eggs. It's a good breakfast. So, that was my pancake house breakfast. Okay, this here is chicharron. It's like the fat from pork, and you just fry it up, and it's crispy on one side, and then soft and chewy on the other side. You can maybe see in the picture a little farther back is a whole fish on a plate, a big one.
This was really tasty. We had this on like a little picnic thing on a boat trip we took in the Philippines.
And the next picture is another thing that we had on a picnic on a boat. There you see another green plate with like 4 fish on it. You see the watermelon, you see mangoes in the back, or is that jackfruit? I believe that was jackfruit, actually. And we have our other vegetables and things. But anyway, if you go to the Philippines, you don't eat with chopsticks there, really. You eat with your hands.
That was kind of hard for me. I didn't do so great with that.
And now, you don't always have to. Most places you go, there's probably going to be silverware. But it's not unusual for people to skip the silverware and just eat the food off their plates. Even the rice. Just scoop it up, stick it in your mouth.
That's not messy.
No.
You can still eat really nicely with your fingers, but I just had a hard time with it.
Yeah. I loved it because I do that anyway. But yeah, if you go there, you won't be strange if you just decide to eat all your food with your hands. You'll be normal. If you eat with silverware, you might be a little strange. So that is what you see here. This is when we're picking up our food and we're just pulling the fish right off the bones and putting it on our plate. I believe this is a picture of Alyssa because there is silverware on that plate. All right, here is Jollibee. And those are lumpia.
Looks like the rest of the meal was too delicious to take a picture of.
Yeah, that might be the case. But that is the fast food restaurant there. And finally,
Oh, yes.
for dessert, this is called halo halo, which means...
Mix, mix.
And the reason is because, well, just look at it. It's a mixture of
Like everything.
gelatin,
Ice cream, coconut milk, beans, tapioca pearls.
oatmeal, it looks like. Or,
Jelly.
Oh, no, those are Rice Krispies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else I've had in it. Basically, it's like
Coconut.
all sorts of different textures of jelly and ice cream, and I think I've even had corn in it before.
Yeah, I had one with corn.
Corn and beans, which sounds strange. It's a cold dessert though, with the ice cream and then the
There's
taro.
ice.
What's that purple? That purple yam?
Ube.
Ube. That
Yes.
purple yam stuff. ice
Purple
cream.
yam. Oh, so good.
It's really good though. There's a lot of varieties of it, and it's worth the try.
And it, like she said, it does sound weird at first, but once you just mix it all together and just eat it, it's
So tasty.
pretty good. It's mostly sweet, but you do have
But
a few
it's not-
savory things. You'll have the beans in there that are
Yeah.
not sweet. The corn is not sweet.
But it's not like American food sweet. It's not
No.
overly sweet.
It's like natural sweet, and I guess with the ice cream.
Yeah.
It's really refreshing, and it's like nothing you've ever had before, and so it's just different and good.
Delicious.
We had a friend who had it for the first time, and
I think we went at least 4 more times after that.
she was a little unsure, if I believe.
Yeah. She was not all about it, but I'm pretty sure she likes it now.
So you can make it at home if you know what to put in, or you can just put things in there and call it halo halo, and you're good.
Just mix it up.
Yeah, so that's one of our favorite things. All right, so that is food in the Philippines. And the next time we talk to you, we're going to talk about
Something else.
from the Philippines also.
So you get a surprise.
So you'll just have to wait and watch next week and see what it is. At this time, Alyssa is going to share with you a missionary story. And while she does that, so that I'm not a distraction to you, I think I'm just going to go and eat a few snacks. And I'll come back for the last part of our show when she's finished.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, I want to share with you a story today that's about a little girl who lived in Haiti. Now, I love maps because I think it's great to be able to think about where in the world we're talking about. So I have this map behind me, and it's not like a perfect map of the world because it's kind of more fun, but you'll get the general idea from it. So, we live in the United States of America, over in this direction. For Minnesota, kind of about there-ish. And the Philippines is over here in the ocean, somewhere, kind of in this general region. And we're going to talk today about a little girl who's living in Haiti. That's going to be kind of over here in this part of the region of the world. So, it's going to be a little warmer than the US, where we live. And Haiti is an island, so there'd be a lot of different things, but there might be some similarities. So I'm going to tell you a story about a little girl who lived in Haiti. And it's a true story that's been retold and put into story format to make it easier for you guys to enjoy it. So, I'm going to go ahead and start here with my story. And the little girl in my story, her name is Tifam. And Tifam lives on the island of Haiti, and I'll tell you a little bit about her. The sun was coming up really early. Tifam just barely opened her eyes, kind of wishing she could lay there on her mat for a few more minutes, when she heard her mother call, "Tifam, Tifam, time to get up. We need to get ready to go to the market tomorrow. Quick, you need to go out and gather some banana leaves." Oh, Tifam sat for a few more seconds, and then she remembered. Her mother had promised her that she could get a new dress if they sold all of their sweet potatoes at the market the next day. So hurriedly, she got up, got dressed, put on her charm, and headed out the door to begin her morning. She had to head out, though, to get some banana leaves to put in their basket. She walked up the hill and began to collect leaves to line her basket so that their sweet potatoes wouldn't get bruised on their way to the market. As she pulled away at some of the leaves, she heard a voice from behind her. "Good morning." Tifam turned around. It was her friend Marie. "Oh, good morning, Marie. Guess what? I'm getting banana leaves because my mom and I are going to the market tomorrow to sell our sweet potatoes. If we sell enough sweet potatoes, my mom said we can get a new dress for me, a dress that has words on it." But Tifam, her friend said, you don't even know how to read those words." Well, it's okay," Tifam responded. "I don't mind. I just want to have a dress with words on it." Marie said, "Well, guess what? We're going to get something new, too, at the market." Tifam, "Oh, are you going to get a new charm from my dad?" Tifam's dad was a witch doctor. That's kind of like a religious leader for their people, but they don't follow God. And a witch doctor is not really someone who does what's right. They kind of depend on bad things, on lots of evil spirits. But in our story, Tifam's dad was a witch doctor. So she asked her friend, "Are you going to get a new charm from my father?" When she realized, as she looked at her friend was not wearing a charm around her neck. "You lost your charm, Marie." "No," Marie answered. "I took it off. I don't need to wear it anymore. We've been talking to Victor in the village, and he's been telling us about the one true God." Tifam grabbed her charm. "No, you can't listen to him. He tells lies. You can't listen to what he says. Bad things will happen to you if you don't wear your charm." Marie shook her head. "No, we don't believe that anymore. That's why tomorrow, after our day at market, we're going to go to the mission and buy a Bible for our home." Tifam held onto her charm tightly. "Don't let my father hear about this. You're going to get in trouble. Terrible things will happen." Her friend left. Tifam went back to her home and gathered the sweet potatoes with her mother in their basket so they were ready to go the next morning. Early in the morning, her mother once again woke her up. Tifam was very happy to be awake, but then she remembered the dress and she was a little more excited. She put all the sweet potatoes in the basket lined with banana leaves and then carefully balanced them on her head. That way she could carry them all the way to the market. Tifam's mother also grabbed her basket and placed it on her head. Tifam watched her father as he went off to his hut. Now her father is the witch doctor, so his job is to make different things happen for the village, or he will somehow cure people, but a lot of times he depends on magic and calling on evil spirits and such. So Tifam was really concerned, especially for her friend Marie, who is saying that they're not going to have their charms anymore at their house. Tifam placed her basket on her head and watched as her father went away to his hut. "Come along," Tifam's mother said. "We must hurry to the village so we can get there and return home before dark." Tifam and her mother began to walk all the way up the hill with their baskets on their heads on the long journey. Tifam paused when she got to the top of the hill. The farthest house away she knew was her friend Marie's house. "Mama," she said to her mother, "do you know that Marie and her family are not wearing their charms anymore? Do you know that they have been listening to the missionary? They've been listening to Victor, who talks about God in the village, and Mama, I think terrible, you're missing your charm as well. Mama, what happened? We have to go back for it. You're not wearing your charm." Her mother said, "Oh, I know. The string broke this morning, but I did not bother to bring it with." "Bad things will happen," and she clutched under her charm tighter. "Mama, we have to go back to get it." "It's okay, we don't need it. Let's not worry about Marie's family for now. We'll just continue on to the village to sell our potatoes." When they got to the village, they set their basket down in front of a man who was going to look at them. He pulled off the banana leaves and began to look in the basket at the potatoes. Suddenly, he dumped them down in the ground in front of them. "Worms! These are full of worms! Why would you bring me these potatoes? You will not get much money for these. I'm only going to give you 35 cents for this basket," as he motioned to Tifam's mother's basket, where the potatoes were all over the ground. "I guess we will take that," Tifam's mother said, and she took the money from the man. Now Tifam still had her basket to sell. Tifam's mother said, "Wait here. Maybe we can sell more potatoes, and for now I will go back to see if I can buy the things we need for the week. Buy some beans and some rice. You wait here with the potatoes." Tifam was a little sad now. She had hoped that she would be able to buy a new dress, but if they could not sell their potatoes, she would not be able to have a new dress. As she stood there, she kind of kicked the dirt with her toes till she heard a man's voice. "Are your potatoes for sale?" "Oh, yes." Tifam looked up. "They are for sale. Yes, I brought them. They are fresh. I carried them this morning. $1.25, she said. That price was a little too high, but she was really hoping for that new dress. The man said, I'm sorry, I need the potatoes, but that is too much money. I will give you 75 cents. "Oh no," said Tifam. "I walked a long way. I carried them on my head this morning all the way from my home over the hill, such a long way. I cannot sell it to you for 75 cents. 50 cents. The man countered back. 40 cents and here you go. Tifam said okay, and she took the money and was so excited. Maybe now she had enough money that she would be able to buy a dress. And the nice man took her basket of potatoes for 40 cents. That seemed like a good thing for her. Tifam's mother returned with the things they had needed from the market, and Tifam showed her, "Look, I have money, now I can go buy a dress." Tifam's mother smiled. "I think we may have enough. Let's go over and look at the dressmakers." Now she wanted a dress with words on it. That's what Tifam wanted most of all. Even though she couldn't read, she still wanted a dress with words on it. Tifam and her mother went over to the dressmakers and picked out a beautiful dress with letters on it. And the dress actually says, it has words that used to have food inside of it, but somebody took it and they remade it into a dress. Tifam's mother asked the man about the cost of the dress, and he named a price much too high. "I cannot afford that. I do not have that much money." They went back and forth. Tifam kicked the dirt again, got a little sad, and was really wishing that she could have that dress. Finally, the man agreed on a price, and Tifam got to take the dress. She held it close to her. Oh, it was so nice and soft and smooth. It was beautiful, her own dress with words on it. And as she was taking in the moment with her nice, beautiful new dress, her friend Marie called behind her, Tifam, Tifam, come and hear the story. Tifam turned around. There was her friend Marie in the village, just like she had said. Come hear the story. Victor is telling a story. Tifam's eyes got wide. Oh, not again. I am not going to hear these stories that he has about God. But Tifam's mother was a little interested. Let's go hear the story, she said. So they walked over to hear. There was a man standing by the sign. The same man who had bought her potatoes. Mama, he bought my potatoes. Tifam's mother smiled. Maybe we can listen to his story. Tifam shook her head. Oh no, I will not listen, and she put her hands over her ears. They stood there. He began to put pictures on a board. They seemed to stick like magic. Have you ever seen those pictures? They're kind of sticky and they just stick to each other. I think that's what he was doing. But Tifam hadn't seen these kind of pictures before. He began to tell a story, and as he told the story, Tifam began to slide her fingers apart as she listened. He told the story of a prophet, of a man named Elijah, who knew and worshiped the one true God, but the people around Elijah did not. They worshiped many false gods, and Elijah said, let's see whose God is the one true God. We will build altars, and we will ask our gods to pour down fire from heaven to burn up our sacrifice and our altar. Let's see who will answer. So they got all of their people together who worshiped the false god, and Elijah, who was the only one, stood there by himself to show he was going to worship the one true God. Tifam was listening. One true God, many gods. This is different, kind of like what her father would do. Well, the many people called out for their false gods. They shouted and they screamed and they danced around, but nothing happened. Absolutely nothing. Then Elijah called out to the one true God, and the God of heaven sent down fire and burned up the sacrifice on the altar. The people that had stood there, they had all watched and been so surprised to see what had happened. Elijah did worship the one true God. Victor said, this story is in the Bible, and the one true God lives in heaven, and he loves people, and he wanted to show that he was the one who had all the power and control. And Elijah showed that to the people that day. If you would like to know more about Jesus, Victor said, just come and talk to me after the story is over, and I will tell you more. Tifam's mother stepped forward. No, Mama, we can't talk to him. Papa will be so angry when he finds out we were here. Tifam's mother was thinking, maybe this man is right. Maybe this is the one true God. They thought about it all the way home. When Tifam and her mother got home, they told their father about the events of the day. They told him how they sold their potatoes. Tifam was so excited to show him her brand new dress with the words on it. He just stood and scowled. And then Tifam said, but Papa, Marie and her family, they do not have the charms anymore. They do not believe in witchcraft and the things you do. They're not wearing them, and they are listening to the missionary. We heard him in the village. Tifam's father's face got more and more serious, more angry as she talked. She probably shouldn't have told him. Well, they don't believe anymore, and now they're listening, and I think they're going to have a Bible in their house. And he got very angry. I will do something about Victor. I need to make a charm for him. And he grabbed Tifam's brand new dress, and her father went out to his hut where he did all of his magic. Tifam wondered what was going to happen. She had never seen her father so angry before. And he took her new beautiful dress. He came back a little later, and he had taken her dress and made it into the shape of a person, and he had stuck pins in it. He said, this is a voodoo doll. I have put a curse on Victor, and he will die, and we will show all the people that the witch doctor is the only one they should come to with problems. Tifon was so scared. She held onto her charm and she wondered what was going to happen next. Now, you'll have to come back next week to hear the next part of the story about Tifon and her family, see what happens to the missionary.
All right.
Okay. So, we told you about some place we've been.
And we forgot something.
What do we forget?
We did not finish talking about the egg.
We forgot about the rest of
Sorry.
the egg story.
Speaking of which, I brought you some snacks.
Oh, that's my favorite. I love Reese's.
Okay, so this egg thing that we mentioned at the beginning, well, it's something in the Philippines that they call balut. And I knew what it was because my dad really likes it, having been born and raised in the Philippines. And so, Alyssa, tell us a little more exactly what balut is.
So, it's an egg that has a baby chicken growing inside of it, and then they just cook it and eat it. So when you can just buy it off the street. When you crack the shell off, you can see the whole baby chicken like all curled up inside, like feathers and beak and feet and everything. But they really love it. They just will eat it on the street and they'll like sprinkle salt on it. And they just take a bite and then peel off some shell and then, yeah. It's,
Okay.
To us it sounds really strange, and I'm sure there's some things we eat that sound really strange to them, but that's balut.
I cannot honestly say that it's not good because I've never had it, but I'm too scared to try.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think I would have had you explain if I knew you were going to go into that much detail. So, all right. Next week we're going to talk about something else from the Philippines that isn't like that. But what are we going to do now?
We're going to share about a missionary who's currently serving someplace in the world. And we're going to share some things about them and then some ways we can pray for them.
Yeah. So the missionary that we're going to talk about today, or the missionary family, is somebody that I know fairly well because the husband and the father is one of my cousins. And this family is... Sorry, pushed the wrong thing. Andrew and Janae Gonerman, and their son Jonah, right? And Isla is their daughter. So they serve in Japan, and we asked them to tell us a little bit about what Japan is like, where they are. So they live in Tokyo right now. And Alyssa, why don't you tell us about the people that they contact and meet with?
So most of the ways they are coming in contact with people and trying to share the gospel is just from ordinary places. Like they go every day, like at school when they take Jonah to school, or when they play at the park, they just stop and spend time talking to people and then talking to their neighbors. Just kind of living life, and they talk to people as they go and just build relationships with them. Japan has one of the lowest crime rates in the world. So just on a normal day, you can see kids walking around by themselves, and a lot of kids just can walk to school all by themselves or in like a small group. Children can go on errands for their parents, and they said that they've even seen an elementary student riding the train all by herself downtown.
There she is.
So she can just get to school all by herself. She doesn't have to be scared.
And Tokyo is not a little place.
No.
But she knows how to get there, and there she is. She's just on her way to school.
But it's a very safe place. They don't have a lot of crime. It's based in their culture.
To give you an idea of how busy those train systems are, here's a picture of all these people waiting to get on and off, and they can just send their kids that way and trust that they'll be safe. We would not do that here in America.
Nope. But it's very organized. They have a very good system of helping their train system work, so then everybody can get on and get off, and it just all works and happens. Very organized.
They have been in Japan now for, has it been just over a year? I can't remember, but I believe it was in 2019, like in February, that they went. But they went with their 2 kids, as we showed you earlier. And so we're going to tell you a little bit about Jonah, their son.
He is about kindergarten age, and in Japan, kindergarten begins the April after you turn 3, and then goes until the March after you turn 6. So that's a long time for kindergarten.
Wow, 3 years.
Yep, 3 years of year-round kindergarten.
Oofda.
Yeah. And when I taught on Guam, I had students who would go back to Japan, and they would go back to school, Japanese school, over the summer. But he continues to go to school for 3 years then. They say his day begins at 9 a.m. and then goes till 2 p.m. And his favorite parts of school are library, music, and playing outside. And they said that this year he's started to learn to speak Japanese, and he enjoys most of the Japanese school lunches. Be quite a fun experience for a little guy.
Yeah. Now, as for right now, they are basically in the same situation as us because of the coronavirus. They stay home most of the time, and they do, when possible, get together with other people. But just like us, there's all these restrictions in place that we have here, and over there they're just trying the best they can to not to spread it to someone else or to receive it from someone else. And so for the Gaunermans, they are also just spending a lot of the time in the house.
Working on their Japanese still. It's a tough language to learn, but I think they have helpers, people who are kind of working with them, and I think they've even done some video calling to practice their Japanese a little bit more.
Yep, and we'll talk about the language a little more after we get to the food. And Andrew said that many American restaurants are also there in Japan. They have McDonald's and they have Starbucks everywhere. They even have Pizza Hut, as you can see in this picture. Now, you may not see anywhere in this picture that says Pizza Hut, but it does. You just are not able to read it.
Your kanji must not be very good. Kanji.
Their food is sometimes a little different, such as raw eggs on top of pizza.
Oh. Interesting.
Actually, that doesn't sound too bad. But the price is also frequently higher, Andrew says, such as a $35 medium pizza discounted to $27.
Whew. That's an expensive pizza.
For a medium. But keep this in mind, the large size there is also about the size of our medium, which means their medium is even smaller.
Yikes.
Whew.
Spendy pizza.
Yeah. Okay, back to language school. Andrew says it has been great, yet crazy. Our language school is in downtown Tokyo and is run by Christians. They are great at helping us understand Japan and how Christians live in the culture. Childcare was not much of an option when they started, but now, since Jonah is old enough to be able to go to school, they have to stagger their language school class times so that one of us is always with Isla and can pick up Jonah when he gets back from school. And so that makes things a little trickier, but not impossible. They're still working through it. And so Andrew has his classes in the morning, and Janae does hers one-on-one with a couple during the afternoon. She's been able to supplement study with a couple of other opportunities around town. And so they're keeping busy, learning as much as they can, working out their schedules, because the first thing you really want to do when you get to a new country with a different language is learn their language. You don't go and try to make them learn your language. You don't go and try to fit in and know their language a little bit. You become one of them. And so they are spending a lot of time here learning the language and doing whatever they have to do to organize their schedule so that they can get that done first before they can do other things in the ministry there.
Yep.
When they first started learning Japanese, they had to learn the basic characters and sounds of the language. Then they learned things, simple phrases like my name is Andrew, or my name is Janae, or my family has 4 people. Andrew says that they've studied and grown to the point where they can have conversations with people now. And they tell people about their day during their classes, talk about the news, answer questions that people have about God. And one unique part of their lessons is that their teacher gives a speech topic and a little bit of preparation time for a 3-minute speech.
That's a long time when you don't know the language very well.
20 seconds is a long time to speak when you don't know the language very well.
That's a good challenge.
So this has been a good opportunity to force them to really quick think, using all the knowledge they know of the language, to, as Andrew said, to think on our feet and to put something together that they can then share with the rest of the class. Mm-hmm. They hope to finish language school this year, but they still need to continue studying and improving. The reason is this, and I know this from experience trying to learn another language. Actually, a couple different times. When I was younger, I also learned some Chinese, and I really cannot remember much of it. And what you need to do is that when you learn a language, you have to keep using it. I've even heard of people that when they go to a new culture and they learn that language, if they don't practice using their mother tongue, the one that they grew up with, they start to forget that. And so what you don't use, you forget. And so they might finish Japanese school this year, but they just have to keep learning, keep growing, and make sure that not only do they get better at it, but that they don't forget it. Especially times when they might have to come back to America. That'd be a really bad time to lose it. So.
Yeah. So if you think of it, it'd be great to take some time to pray for the Gonnermans this week. Pray for them as they're stuck at home in a really small apartment. Japan and Tokyo and specifically is a very full and busy city, so they don't have a lot of space in their house. So
their
pray for them.
Their apartment is 600 square feet.
It's very small.
So that's about the size of, it's smaller than our upstairs here at our house. It's like the size of our kitchen and a couple bedrooms and maybe a small living room.
Yeah.
Very small.
Small for 2 kids and 2 grown-ups. So pray for them as they're at home, and then pray for them as they're learning the language, and then pray for Jonah as he gets to go to school with kids who are speaking Japanese and he has to learn the language, and then as he gets to know them and hopefully gets to share a little bit about Jesus with them too. And I was thinking, I didn't show you guys where on the map you could find Japan. Now remember, this is not a perfect map. We live over here, the United States of America. We decided Minnesota's about here. Japan is an island out here off the coast of Asia. And so they're going to be somewhere over here near the Pacific Ocean.
A few hours away from the Philippines that we talked about earlier. Also a cluster of islands.
Yep.
So that is Japan. That's where they live. And also pray for them as they keep working on their language studies, that they would be able to retain what they learn, that they would be able to use that to share the gospel with the friends that they are making right now.
Yeah.
So,
Lots to pray about.
yeah. So that is Andrew and Janae Gonnerman, Jonah and Isla. And so we are going to be done here in a little bit. So if you want to take some time right then to pray for them, or if you think of it throughout the week, if you do pray for them, why don't you just leave a comment down below here and let us know that you prayed for them. I'm sure that would be an encouragement to them. Next week, we will have somebody else to tell you about. So again, you'll have to come back and watch later to find out who that is and where they are.
And you'll get to hear the next part of the story.
And hear more about the Philippines.
Yep.
So thank you for joining us today. We know that you may be here because you don't have Sunday school at your church. You may be here because you want to know more about our travels. You may be here because you're curious and someone told you to come and you don't even know who we are. Whatever it is, thank you for joining us. In order to hear about the next time we post something, I would encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel here. Click the bell button to get notifications when we're getting started. Like the video, and if you didn't like it, unlike it. Or the thumbs down button, I guess. Let us know. And give us a comment if you watched, if you learned something. Tell us what you learned. We'd like to hear back. We'd like to respond, to interact with you. The more we do this, the more we want to get you involved. And so we would love it if you would just leave a little comment down below telling us what you thought, something you learned. Maybe you couldn't hear us very well. Let us know so that we can do better with the sound.
Yep.
But whatever it is, we'd like to interact with you, not just have this be where we come and talk to you and never hear back.
Yep. Thanks so much for watching.
Yep. And until next time, have a great week at home. And we will see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.